I'm Marcus Harvey, a painter, artist, sculptor. 20 years ago, a friend and I decided to publish a magazine about painting. It was sort of quite fierce and purist in terms of the ideology surrounding the magazine. We decided we'd have no backers, we would carry no advertising, we would strain out any critical theory, any identity politics. It was really about the mechanics of painting, and it was exploring what made the great painters of history and contemporary painters tick. That created a kind of centrifugal force that brought a lot of like-minded people together, lots of charts joined together. But one sort of consistent thing was the unhappiness about the state of teaching. After about 7 years of publishing, we decided that we would throw our hat into the ring in terms of our education and set up a painting school. So we had two ideas, a kind of traditional sort of spit and sawdust studio program, which is where I am today, and a correspondence course. So what exactly is the Turps Correspondence Course? Well, let's ask course leader Scott McCracken.
The Turps Correspondence Course is an online mentoring programme for painters at any point in their work and at any point in their career, and who are based anywhere in the world, to receive critical, constructive and informed feedback from one of the mentors at Turps. The feedback comes in the form of a written letter that the mentor writes. This happens 5 times throughout the year. 4 of the letters are written by the primary mentor, and 1 letter is written by a guest mentor. In addition to the review process, people on the programme also get access to our online connectivity platform, which everyone at Turps has access to. You can connect to other people on the programme as well as to alumni. There's extra content and resources such as artist talks, and it's also a space for you to perhaps organise shows or arrange meetups or just to discuss painting outside of the reviews.
So the correspondence course is really powered by 5 key principles. They're very simple, I think magical. And number 1 is the fact that it's not actually a correspondence course in the literal sense. Try and think of your mentor's feedback, if you like, as more in the form of a letter. It's quite good to imagine yourself somewhere very remote with no communication. Imagine you're above the Arctic Circle and someone somewhere has seen your work and you trust this person, they've written a critique in the form of a letter. And the magical thing about a letter is it completely does away with all the noise of the constant pounding of backwards and forwards emails and text, and it really forces you to sort of read, reread and digest what's in the letter. And that does have the effect usually of sending people into their studios, inspiring them, making new work, and so the sort of cycle begins. Number 2, the mentors. Who are your mentors? Who aren't your mentors is more to the point, because they're not your mum and your dad, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your spouse. That, in my experience, tends to keep you in the same echo chamber of stale work. So your mentors are passionately engaged painters. They are going to reflect what they see and suggest ways to take the work forward. What they're not is your friends, and they're not there to flatter you. They're not there to drown you in critical theory, they're not there to belittle you, they're not there to big themselves up, they are there solely to put a spotlight on reflecting your work and make important supportive suggestions about how to take the work forward. Point number 3, you never meet your mentors. I didn't really see this coming, but the anonymity of the mentors was very, very important. I mean, a lot has changed with social media in the past 14 years, but when we first started, the fact that you knew nothing about your mentor, there was no picture, you wouldn't get any biographical details, you just simply had to listen to what they were saying, and the spotlight was thrown firmly on the work. And this was sort of incredibly liberating for everybody. The whole socio-economic stuff was absolutely dismissed, and it was incredibly liberating for the people on the course. Number 4, the deadline. If you're making paintings, you're enjoying painting, you're enjoying the studio, you've got lots of friends, you're showing, you've got artist friends who are sort of able to give you sort of good feedback. This is not for you. Really, this is for people who are kind of stuck in a rut. Things are seized up. You are suffering from chronic studio drift. And what you need is a well-meaning kick up the arse. And there's nothing that serves that function better than a deadline. Just not to lose face, because you've invested money, are highly motivating factors in you getting into the studio and actually becoming active. And that small, important trickle soon becomes a torrent. And the upload comes round, you become more active, and this whole sort of productive creative cycle starts to pick up pace. And so that deadline is absolutely key to changing your position. And finally, Sigmund Freud said, the most effective thing about therapy is the bill. In my experience, when people are given things very cheaply or freely, it kind of arouses suspicion, sort of things are poked and prodded at, and not really sort of fully engaged with. When there is a cost to you, it creates that kind of level of engagement necessary to participate in the course. After nearly 10 to 15 years of doing this, what we know is there are a whole bunch of people out there who went to college years ago, had a family, went through business, but just cannot give up this idea of being a painter. And I have seen this, I've come to see the correspondence course as one of the most sort of powerful tools we've got in the armoury, just in terms of taking that kind of quite insulated sort of vacuum that people can end up in and completely transforming it. It transforms their paintings in a lot of cases, it transforms their lives. The kind of the embarrassment of riches of walking into sort of the biggest competitions, the biggest collections, and just finding tons and tons and tons of painters who've all been through the correspondence course.